88% of companies feel like their data is not ready for AI. So this isn't just your problem. That whole fear of not being AI ready, it can totally freeze you in your tracks. But what if that whole idea, waiting for perfection, is actually a trap? So if you're a leader thinking about AI, you know the feeling, right? This huge pressure to make your data perfect before you can even take the first step. That whole fear of not being AI ready, it can totally freeze you in your tracks. But what if that whole idea, waiting for perfection, is actually a trap? Okay, let's dive in and figure out a much smarter way to kick off your AI journey. I mean, this headline from CIO just nails it, doesn't it? You've got the C-suite with these big, exciting dreams for AI, and then you've got the IT team just staring at this absolute mess of data, thinking, how on earth are we supposed to get this ready? And it's right there in that gap where so many great AI ideas just die on the vine. They stall out before they even get a chance to start. And wow, the stakes here are just massive. Gartner crunched the numbers, and get this. The average cost of bad data quality is a whopping $12.9 million a year. We're not just talking about cool projects you can't do. This is real money just flowing out the door because of bad decisions and inefficiencies that all come back to data you can't trust. And this is what leads to the big trap, right? This idea that you have to boil the ocean. The belief that you've got to clean up, structure, and perfect every last bit of data in the whole company before you can even think about AI. And that chase for perfection, it leads straight to analysis paralysis. You just get stuck. And meanwhile, your competition is moving forward. And hey, if you're looking at that 88% and thinking, yep, that's us, you are definitely not alone. Just look at this data from precisely a huge 88% of companies feel like their data is not ready for AI. So this isn't just your problem. It's pretty much everyone's problem. But you know what that means? It means there's a massive advantage waiting for anyone who can figure out how to get unstuck and just start. Okay, so how do we break out of this loop? It all starts by asking a different question. Instead of asking, are we ready? We need to ask, ready for what? That one little change, it's everything. It's the key that unlocks a whole new way forward. And there it is. That's the question. So simple, right? Readiness for what? This idea from TELUS just slices through all the noise and complexity, because once you answer that, you're not wrestling with some giant scary tech problem anymore. You're aiming at a specific, concrete business goal. See, here's the big takeaway. The goal isn't to be ready for everything. Not for every single AI idea you might have 5 years from now. No. The goal is to be ready to solve one specific problem. Something with high value that if you crack it will make a real measurable difference to your business like right now. And this visual just shows it perfectly. Look at the left. That's the chaos, right? The big tangled mess of trying to fix everything all at once. But on the right, that's the clarity you get when you have one single starting point. That's the move from boiling the ocean to just finding one quick win that gets the ball rolling. All right, so let's say you've picked your problem. Now what? How do you figure out if the data for that one thing is good enough? Let's walk through a super simple, non-technical way to score your data so you don't get totally lost in the weeds. There's this great concept called data readiness levels, or DRLs for short. It's a fantastic tool because it's not about a bunch of techie jargon. It's just a common language that folks on the business side and the tech side can use to talk about whether a set of data is ready for a specific job. And it really just breaks down into 3 simple levels. First up is accessibility. Pretty straightforward. Can you actually get to the data? Does your team have access? Then there's validity. Is this data the right data? Does it actually represent the problem you're trying to solve? And finally, utility. Okay, you've got the right data, you can access it, but is there enough of it to actually do the job, to train a model that works? That's it. See? Super simple. Okay, so now you have this simple scorecard. How do you actually use it? Well, let's walk through a clear 4-step plan that'll take you from a big idea all the way to real action. And this is a plan that lets executives lead the charge from a business point of view. Step 1, define your vision. And I'm not talking about a technology vision here. This is all about the business. What is it you're trying to achieve? Something clear, like we want to use AI to make every customer feel like they're our only customer. That gives everyone a clear North Star. Everyone knows what you're aiming for. All right, step 2. With that vision in mind, you start brainstorming actual use cases. What are 1 or 2 high-impact projects that could make that vision a reality? You know, maybe it's using AI to understand customer feedback, or something like dynamic pricing to boost revenue. The whole idea is to find those quick wins that show a real return on investment and build some momentum. Step 3 is to assess where you are right now. But, and this is the most important part, you're only looking at what's needed for those specific use cases you just picked. You are not doing a massive audit of the entire company. If your project is for marketing, you look at the marketing data, the marketing tech, the marketing team skills. That's it. It keeps everything focused and frankly doable. And when you do that assessment, you'll want to look at these 5 key areas from the TELUS framework. And notice it's not just about the tech. You're asking bigger questions. What's our company culture like around data? Do we have the right skills? What are the real business reasons for doing this? You're getting the whole picture, but again, only as it relates to your specific project. And last, step 4. Your assessment is going to show you where the gaps are. The final step is to make a plan to fix only the critical gaps that are standing in the way of your project. So if the problem is that the sales and marketing data don't talk to each other, you fix that. You don't worry about anything else. It is the exact opposite of boiling the ocean. Okay, so we've talked about the right mindset and the right process. But what about the actual tech stuff? The data architecture. It can feel super complicated, right? But the truth is, the best place to start is actually surprisingly simple. So when you boil it all down, what's the simplest change you can make to your architecture, like right now, to get more AI ready? What's the one practical thing that cuts through all the noise? Tables. Yep, that's it. Just tables. It sounds almost ridiculously simple, I know. But this comes from researchers at MIT, and it is incredibly powerful. The idea is instead of dealing with all sorts of weird, complex file formats, just focus on getting as much of your data as you can into simple tables. So why tables? Well, it's because most AI, especially the really advanced stuff, is all built on a type of math that uses, you guessed it, tables or matrices technically. Data that's in a simple table, like a CSV file, can be plugged directly into these AI tools. It's basically the universal language for data science. It just makes your data instantly useful. So the message here is really clear, right? Getting started with AI isn't this impossible mountain to climb. You don't have to wait for everything to be perfect. There's a clear path to start creating real value like today. So let's just quickly recap the big ideas here. First, change your focus. Stop thinking about perfect data and start thinking about a specific business problem. Second, use that simple readiness scorecard and the 4-step plan to figure out what you actually need for that one problem. And third, start making simple, practical changes, like just getting your data into tables. And that brings us to the last and maybe most important question, something you can take back to your team. Forget the 5-year roadmap for a minute. Just ask this: what is one high-value, quick-win project we could start on next week? The answer to that question? That's your way out of the readiness trap. That's your first real step toward creating value with AI.